has already done that, but share your school and the location where you're joining us from. And I hope to give a few shout outs, and congratulations to Mrs. Burnau. She registered early and was one of the recipients of our free kits. Hers is focused on genetically modified organisms. So congratulations, and you lucky students at Trinity Lutheran. All Saints Academy in St. Cloud, welcome. Hawthorne Elementary, Albert Lee, nice to have you join us. Legacy Christian Academy in Andover, welcome. Mrs. Olson's fifth graders in Rochester, great to see you. Albert Lee Public Schools, third grade. Sabika Elementary, second graders. Martin County West, fourth grade. Third graders from Lake Park Audubon, we are so glad to have you. St. Anthony Elementary, first graders in New Ulm. Who else? GFW, second graders in Gibbon. Lewiston Elementary, first graders, welcome. We are joining you from Northside Elementary in St. James, second graders, nice to have you. Mrs. Gary's class from Sherburne Elementary, good morning. Mrs. Ryer, second grade class from Eagleview Elementary, we're glad to have you. And Mrs. Ryer, thank you for joining or registering for this field trip early. You were one of the recipients of our living necklace kit, which has you guys growing some corn in a little necklace. We also have Zimmerman Elementary distance learners, welcome, Redwood Falls, Holy Name of Jesus in Wayzata. Mrs. Davies class, welcome. Mrs. Hines class, fourth graders in Detroit Lakes. Second graders in from Anderson Elementary in Bayport. Oh, you guys, there's so many, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to do some shout outs later, but thank you for telling us where you are, and thank you for joining us. So I'm Sue Knott. I am an education specialist with the Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom program, and we are so excited to have this virtual field trip today where we will join a farmer in his tractor while he's planting. And his name is Joel. He is part of the Mathiowetz Family Farm. It's Joel Mathiowetz. So his grandpa's grandpa started this farm. And now today, Joel, along with his dad and his uncles and cousins, are still farming that same land. So they are located near Morgan, Minnesota. So we are going to travel virtually to Morgan and join Joel. So good morning, Joel. Can you hear us okay?
I can, Sue. Great morning and happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to the Mathiowetz Farm. We are moving here this morning, and we are so grateful to be active in the farm here this morning. There was a few rain showers that came through. Us farmers get to watch the weather forecasting all the time during the growing season, but especially at planting. And our friends I know to the south caught a little rain shower in St. James and Austin and Albert Lee. So thank you for taking that rain so I could be out in the field here with you this morning. We are here in the field planting corn. And I'm going to turn around here right now. You're going to maybe hear a few beeps in the background. That's my tractor telling me I hit the end. I'm literally going to turn around and we'll get back at planting here in 3 seconds. We are planting corn in Minnesota. We are very blessed and fortunate to have some of the best natural resources in the world. And so I'm very grateful for my grandpa's grandpa from immigrating from Germany to this part of Minnesota. And I can now proudly say that I get to farm the land that he settled on. And my grandpa's grandpa and his son and my grandpa and my dad and uncles all farmed. And now my brother and I farm together on that piece of property. And we're going to be planting that this week. So I'm on another farm real close to my house. And we are just getting started here. And I'm going to just,
Joel, we have some pictures. Yep.
Yeah,
Joel
so
shared
just
some
going to say
pictures with us that we're going to use to sort of introduce Joel and his family's farm. So,
well, that first one was my son, Leo, and he wants to say hi to everybody. He's 5 and he loves being with me in the tractor, but he has preschool today. So he's at that. This is my family, my wonderful wife, Amanda, and we have 2 children, Leo and Lucy, 5 and almost 3. And they love helping out in the farm. And then the next picture here is my farm help, or they help me, I should say. My dad is there in the red shirt, and then my brother is off to the far right, and then his son is also involved. And my brother has 4 kids that are around the farm and help out seasonally when they're not involved in school activities. And and then we also work with my uncle Myron as well. So very grateful, and a cousin Bruce, who's an ag teacher in New Prague, Belle Plaine actually. Belle Plaine is also farms with us seasonally. So it's awesome to work with family. We don't have any employees on our farm. We all operate in manage our own fields. We do grow corn and soybeans. In the past, I've grown sweet corn, peas, edible navy beans or your pork and bean. But this year we're going to be focusing primarily on corn and soybeans as we go through our growing season. And right now, the end of April is prime time to get those seeds in the ground. Carrie just put up a picture of the corner post from my Century farm. This is the farm that my grandpa's grandpa immigrated to, and that fence post is still there. You're going to see some barbed wire that's on that fence. Obviously, farming and agriculture has changed over the years, but we used wire primarily to keep our livestock in our property lines. As growing crops and livestock industry has evolved and become more efficient, those wires are no longer utilized, but we still use the corner post to identify our property to our neighbor's property. So that post has been there for 120 plus years, and I still use that post to get my tractor lined up, and then I use a GPS signal or global positioning system, satellite signal to help drive my tractor, which I'll share with you in just a moment. So when I think about my grandpa's grandpa, when he came here, he would have been farming with horses and would have done what we're doing today, either but with horse or by hand. And so here's a picture of me at a local museum, actually just down the road at the Gilfillan Estate, or our Farm Fest farm show. But they have an old 2-row check planner in the museum there. And I was doing a tour one day and sharing the difference from that planner to what I'm using today. The technology is very similar. There's a place where that seed is held, and then a seed plate. And as we travel, the plate turns and drops the seed down a seed tube to be placed in a trench that is made by that planter. And we place that seed into the ground where it's good soil, the seed contact, and we allow the soil, the nutrients from the soil, Mother Nature, the sun, and our wonderful rainfall here in Southwest Minnesota to produce a bountiful crop each and every year. So here's the technology that I'm driving in today. So I'm literally driving. We've gone about 3/4 of a mile since I turned around. I'm coming up to my end again, but that's the tractor and planter I'm driving. You'll see I got a couple big yellow tanks in the back that holds my seed. And then the 2 big arms out there are my markers. And again, I'll show you those in a second. And those markers are used so I know where to come back and drive in a straight line. And so we can use our field as efficient as possible. So the next picture here, I just had to pull out real quick. This is how I learned to farm. That is me. I guess I can now say that's probably about 35 years ago when I was 5 or 6 and learning how to plant, and that would have been in our garden. But we would draw out a string and determine how we'll put our seeds and cover them up and take care of them throughout the growing season. So I've been farming my whole life. And I'm just very blessed and fortunate to have this opportunity. And when we think about farmers, less than 2% of us, less than 2% of the population grow the food for all of the world. And when we think about that, that means 98% of us can follow the dreams and passions and desires that we have, because food is available to you. And so I'm just very grateful to be in this industry to provide that food. And what we do is convert natural resources, sun, water, utilize our very, very high quality soil here in Southwest Minnesota to produce crops. And in our area, corn and soybeans is primary.
So Joel, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. Hey, viewers, I forgot to mention at the beginning that you can ask, or you can have questions asked of Joel by putting them in the Q&A section. If you are watching on Zoom, if you're in YouTube, you can use the comment section. So put your name and class and what questions you have. Teachers, I linked a few different lessons from our curriculum matrix in the chat feature if you want to check those out. I mentioned that some of our teachers joining us, the first 6 registered received a kit in the mail, and I'll share details about how you can get those kits yourself if you were not some of the first to register. So Joel, we know that you are in the tractor cab. Do you want to show some of the technology that you're using and how that helps you to grow corn and soybeans that's used all over the world?
I certainly do. So as you see, I'm driving. This is my steering wheel. I'm looking out the front of my cab. You can kind of see my tires over here. And as I come back into, this is my picture of Leo. I wanted to make sure he got to say hi. So that's why that's here this morning. As I come back to my screens, I got 3 different computer screens in my tractor cab that is monitoring and watching everything I do. The first screen is down here, and this is literally driving my tractor. And so I am putting lines across my field, and we are making it blue as we drive across. If you can see some white lines or blue lines, All I'm doing is making parallel tracking or tracks across the field, and we're gonna fill that in. So that's driving my tractor. I'll show you that when we jump out in a second. This here screen over here with all the green and a yellow and a red box, that is my planter. I am currently planting 35,000 corn seeds per acre. 35,000 corn seeds is the upper left-hand corner there. And that is telling me exactly how we're doing that. And all this other data is making sure that I put the seed exactly where I want it, when I want it, how I want it. And so I'm planting 16 rows at a time right now. I just clicked on row number 3 as my example. And again, we're planting 35,000 seeds. I got a 99.7 efficiency rate right now. I'm currently traveling at 5.9 miles an hour. And this bottom one is showing my seed plate spinning, and it's dropping each corn kernel, and it's going through there. And you can see I got lots of greens, which is awesome. But every once in a while, you might see a blue or a red. And that just means that I missed the seed, or I'm having an issue that I'm tracking. So I keep track of every single kernel that goes into the ground. We're literally farming by the inch. This here screen again is an actual iPad. And so I'm recording all this as we go. This cool different colors here. My phone is having fun and bouncing around. I apologize for the bouncing, but these here colors are my different hybrids. And so I'm doing different genetics throughout my field. And it's kind of fun. So this is the field shape I'm doing today. It's a nice big rectangle with a square on top.
So Joel, we have lots of questions. Solberg's class is wondering how many acres you farm, and maybe you want to tell us how many acres total. And then Maya from Pine Hill is wondering how big is this specific field that you're in today? Perfect.
So I'll start there. This here big cool square rectangle field, and I'm just going to get it to another map here real quick. That's the map that shows me how fast I'm going depending on color. Anyhow, that there map, this here top square is a 40-acre square. An acre is approximately a football field. So there's 40 of them in that top square. This long rectangle on the bottom is 90. So this field that I am in today will be 130 acres. Our family farms just over 2,000 acres. And again, there's 5 of us that work together. So that's supporting 5 separate families in some shape or form. So a good size operation, not the largest, not the smallest. As you know, there's lots of different sizes out here, but we all are family and work together. And we're going to do just over 1,000 acres of corn this year, and then 1,000 acres of soybeans.
Okay, Joel, a couple more questions. Do you know how many seeds are planted per minute? And then Mrs. Royce's second graders want to know how many times in the field that you're working on, how many times do you have to drive back and forth to plant all of the corn?
Okay, well, both are wonderful questions. I just pushed a button I wasn't supposed to push. I'm sorry. You still see my screen, Sue?
Nope, I don't. Oh, there you are. You're back now. We're good,
Okay,
Joel.
good. I'm sorry, I was playing with my
phone. No worries,
okay,
no worries, we're good.
As we go, we are traveling. Yes, each field will have different lines. And so this field, I am on line number 12. And so I think this one is gonna have about 28 or 29 passes going back and forth. So it totally depends on the field and the size in which we're driving. Seeds per second. Ooh, that's a good one. I am planting 35,000 seeds per acre. And then I am going to be doing about 40 acres an hour when I am going full speed. When I am all efficient, everything is working the way I want, and the soil conditions are perfect, I can do up to 40 acres an hour. So I will let your math determine that. And that sounds like a great equation on the whiteboard here later today to figure out how fast we do that. So 40 acres an hour at 35,000 seeds per acre. So here's an example of the seeds. I did just stop here real quick. We're going to jump out and I'll show you how we do this. So this is some seeds. As you'll see, there's a couple different colors. So it's kind of twofold. Number one, we color it because we put a treatment on our seeds, kind of like we put mosquito spray on ourselves. We put a treatment on our seeds to protect it from bugs. And it's been a treated seed. And then we have some discolored ones or a different color. And that is so that it's either with a different treatment or not treated because we don't want to build up resistance. So we actually put some plants in here that the bugs can go after and eat and have their fair share, but the rest of them we're going to keep for ourselves. So when we're all said and done, that corn plant is going to produce an ear, something like that. Each kernel that I plant will produce an ear. This is an ear with its husk on. I just left it in the bag, and that'll produce yellow field corn. Yellow field corn. Field corn is used primarily for feed. So if any of you like meat, our beef cattle, our hogs or swine, our sheep, our poultry and chickens and turkey, we produce it, the feed that they eat. And then real quick, I also do soybeans. These here are some treated soybeans that I'll be planting later in the week. And we'll be producing a lot of soybean goes into soybean meal, again for feed, but also can be converted into biodiesel, and then lots of other products like your crayons and cosmetics and all kinds of stuff. Real quick, this is some alfalfa seed. If you see alfalfa seed, it is teeny, tiny, 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 really small. I would actually use a different planter for alfalfa seed, and I do have some alfalfa along some waterways that we use to feed our sheep. My brother and I have a sheep flock as well. And here's some rye, another crop that we grow in our area. Rye is becoming more and more popular as a cover crop so that we leave something growing on our fields all winter. Sue, what other question we got? I'm going to jump out and show the process with the planter. How's that sound?
That sounds great. As you're jumping out, you mentioned sheep. There's been a bunch of questions about what animals you have on your farm. So if you want to talk about the sheep and if there's any others, any other animals living with you and your family and on your farm, that would be great.
Perfect. Absolutely. I grew up on a hog farm, meaning we grew hogs that were farrow to finish, meaning we took care of the baby pigs all the way until they were market weight, which would be 250 pounds, 300 pounds, and made product. Now my brother and I started a sheep flock. Oh, I got something on here yet. We started a sheep flock, and so we'll have 200 ewes and about 350 baby sheep that will finish out and produce for meat as well.
Awesome. Okay, so it looks like you're outside of the tractor, but you're going to show us the planter and how those seeds are, how technology is used again to plant those seeds. So go for it, Joel.
Thank you, and keep the questions coming. I like them a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
So, excellent. I am outside now. I'm on the back side of my planter, and you'll see that I talked about these markers. If I did not have GPS or that computer system, I would unfold that marker, and then I'd follow my line back. Each one of these rows then gets seed from these big yellow tanks. I got a couple old seed bags that I dumped in here this morning, and these big yellow tanks then literally use a vacuum. And the vacuum pushes the seed into the row. And I'm going to open this row up here real quick and show you how that seed plate is put together. Maybe if my holder here holds. Sue, I can't see what I'm looking at. Do you see me?
Yep, I can see you. You're just opening the lid to the yellow box. Oh, now you left.
Oh. Okay, we're going to go. Here we are. Flip my camera. Sorry, class. Here we go. I open my lid. Inside here is my seeds. So again, the cool colored seeds. I'm going to open this up. I got computer wires on the side. I got my vacuum tube on this side. We're going to open this unit up. And inside there is my seed that comes down. Did I hit something? Okay. And then there's my seed plate. So you see the individual holes there, Sue?
Yes, we can see them. Yep.
There's 27 holes on there, and that vacuum then literally sucks the seed from the compartment on top and puts the seed. And then as I tell the computer how fast to drop the seed, it'll come in here and come down this belt right here. There's a belt, and it goes down this tube and comes out that hole. It goes down in between these. So on each row unit, the silver things in front are what we call my trash whippers. They're moving any residue or old plant material or rocks out of the way. These are kind of got a little mud on from the morning moisture here. And inside are two silver discs that are hard to see, but they're making a trench. My trench is exactly 2.5 inches deep. I am placing that seed about every 6 inches as I go across the field. And so that, when you equate that back, I will have a seed exactly about every 6 inches across the field for corn. Soybeans, we plant way heavier. I'll plant 140,000 seeds on a per acre basis.
So
What's
Carrie, I
questions
think
you got, Sue?
I
Yeah.
have a couple questions before. I just want to say, Carrie, I think we had pictures of the trench with the seeds in those. So if you could get those up and show us, that would be awesome. Joel, Mrs. Davies' class wants to know, you plant 35,000 corn seed or 35,000 seeds. Will all of those grow or will some of them die?
Well, they are living organisms. And so unfortunately, sometimes they don't all make it. Our goal would be to have 95%. And so we hope for out of 35, we're going to have 34 live plants that produce an ear for me. So my goal with that then would be to have 200 bushel corn. So if we can produce 200 bushel corn on an acre, that would be our success for the year.
So tell us about a bushel. I know that's the measurement that you use. How big is that? Or give us some frame of reference.
Thank you for that. Bushel, yeah, the seed trenches, you'll see make that little trench, and the press wheel closes that trench up as we travel. A bushel is 56 pounds of corn or 60 pounds of soybeans. So when you think about that, it's probably in between 80 and 160,000 seeds. So I was just planting one of these bags of seed corn, and I just pulled that out. I'm gonna flip this for you again. Sorry about my camera.
That's all right. We love being in the tractor with you and being able to see all of these pieces. So what are you showing us?
So here's my seed. This is a bag of seed corn, and this seed corn is a variety, but this one weighed 50 pounds, net weight 50 pounds, and this one had 1,600 seeds per pound. So lots of math. If you want to be a farmer, you need to love math.
That's Joel,
part of it.
That was a question. We had a couple questions about the seed that you use. So how do you select hybrids? And I'm not sure if you've talked about hybrids, but maybe tell us a little bit about the hybrids, what that means, and how do you pick the ones that you want? And then you showed us the mixture before. So how is that mix decided?
Perfect. Thank you, Sue, for wonderful questions.
Oh, they're not mine. They're from all of our viewers. So thank you, those of you watching, putting your questions, sharing your questions with us.
Okay, so a lot of times farmers get a lot of heck for not doing something during the winter season or when we're not growing our crop, but we're doing a lot of educating and learning from others and from our university systems and the companies that help us. So we do a lot of research about seeds and genetics. We do raise hybrid crops here on our farm, which just means we've selected a male and a female and put them together to come up with the most efficient crops that we possibly can. Well, there we go. I don't know if you could hear some beeping. I was going to start planting again, and I forgot to turn on my vacuum. So all of a sudden, I didn't have any seeds in my seed row. So we do a lot of research and a lot of meetings and a lot of determining what is the best seeds for the soil type and the moisture and the heat units that we get throughout the year. The heat units is just another term for how much sunshine. Hey, there's my uncle saying, hey, how soon do you need seed? And I got to tell him, I will need seed at 10:45, please. Okay. So there we go. He's going to come and bring me some more seed because I am almost out. Sue, what was the other question?
So do you, to finish that question, how do you decide how they're mixed? Like you showed us before, you had the mixture of different seeds. And then there's the questions about, do you use genetically modified organism or GMO seeds?
Perfect. Thank you for both of them. So the mix or the ratio between that is all done through research. So through our university's systems and our companies that help supply our seed, we've determined that about a 10% set aside or 10% of our crop then will be a different treatment so that we don't build in resistance. Yes, I do use genetically modified, meaning we have taken a natural trait from another plant or another organism and put it into these plants. For example, a lot of our plants would be resistant to a certain herbicide or a weed killer. And the reason we have done that is to manage our weeds. Corn is very, very competitive, meaning if there's anything next to a corn plant, it will not grow as fast or as efficient as it can. It needs its own space. That's why we place our corn plants exactly 6 inches apart. Soybeans is not that way. You can have them a lot closer. So we want to keep all the weeds out of our fields if all possible. So we utilize a genetic modification to allow us to use certain herbicides. Obviously, there are other practices and other ways to go about that, and it can impact your yield depending on how you manage those. So there's pros and cons, and but we want to continue to provide the most affordable and abundant food supply we can.
And Joel, you just used the word yield. Could you tell us what that means?
Absolutely. So we measure things in bushels again, and a yield would be our production at the end of the year. So we're planting now, end of April. This cornfield will probably take about 2,600 heat units, which will take me to mid to end of October. And heat units is just the amount of sunshine we gather throughout the year. And so this corn hybrid that I'm currently planting needs 2,600 heat units. Yield then is the measurement of how many bushels an acre I will have at year end. And again, my goal would be to get 200 bushel per acre yield or return on planting the seed. Soybeans, I'll plant 1 kernel or 1 bushel per acre. 140,000 seeds is approximately a bushel. I'll plant 1 bushel with my goal of getting 60 bushel return on a per acre basis.
Wow, you're right. That is a lot of math, Joel, that farmers need to do. So we've had a couple questions, and you touched on this, but how long does it take these crops to grow? And what is harvest like?
Excellent. So each crop will have a different length of time. So the reason we plant corn typically in this region of the state first is because we are trying to extend the growing season as long as possible. So as soon as the soil temp is warm, we start putting our seeds in the ground. And one of the wonderful things on my screen was the soil temp. It's currently reading at 52 degrees. And so our corn seed will take 100 to 110 days. Soybeans is a shorter season crop, usually in that 70 to 90 days, depending on our maturity. I've grown green peas for Del Monte Canning Company, or your frozen pea. That is a 60-day crop. So once I plant it, 60 days later, we would be harvesting that crop. There's a lot of sweet corn growing in our area. Minnesota's ranked #1 for sweet corn, green peas, wild rice, as far as crops growing in the United States. And we're top 5 in corn, soybeans, and wheat. And edible beans is also very prevalent. We also, just to the north of us, my friends grow a lot of sugar beets. We grow a lot of sugar beets in Minnesota, which is a very important crop for all our sweeteners that we like to have.
So Joel, we have a couple pictures we're sharing. It looks like corn during the growing season.
Yeah.
I don't know, can you see those as well?
Yes, so as the growing season, these seeds will come up out of the ground, hopefully within the next 10 to 14 days. And then we are looking for a beautiful stand just like that their crop, growing really nice. That'd be around the 4th of July, midsummer. We will hope to be waist high by the 4th of July. Is kind of an old wise tale saying, if you have waist high corn, you're on the road to good success. And then by harvest, the corn will actually naturally dry down. And so you'll see they turn brown, and some may fall over. That is a concern we have. We want to get our combine in there prior to harvest. And so I was just an example. Those ears are above my waist, and then we'll come in there with our combine and do harvest. Again, I think of my grandpa's grandpa, and he would have harvested all his crops by hand. And it was when mechanics came in and we invented the combine. We took a thrashing machine, a gathering machine, brought them all together to create what we call the modern day combine. And this is my combine along with our grain cart, which is another driver having a wagon that collects that crop as we go through the field. Here's a quick video.
All right, fantastic. So that was combining or harvesting soybeans, and the harvesting of both corn and soybeans you mentioned usually happens in the fall. So we have all spring and summer for those crops to grow, and then we're harvesting them in the fall. Joel, we're almost out of time. Time flies. And you guys, the viewers, you've shared so many awesome questions. I know we didn't get to answer them all or ask them all, but Joel, I have two final questions for you. So the first one is, a couple people have asked, what sort of education do you have, or what do you need to have to be a farmer? And then secondly, this will be our final question. What is your favorite thing about being a farmer in southwestern Minnesota?
Awesome. Education, yes, obviously through high school. Oh, I'm out of seed. Through high school, I did go to college. I got a business, agriculture business degree, is what I chose to do. But important people in my circle, I need agronomists, people that help me with the plants and understanding the genetics and what food and how we manage the weeds. Marketing people that help me market my crop. We didn't even get onto that topic today. Bankers to help me with the cash and capital in order to put this crop in. It takes a lot of money to run this equipment and to plant the seeds throughout the year, but lots of people in our circle and lots of important education that you can do. So yes, schooling is important, and I continue to learn each and every day, and I try to keep up the best practices in any ways I can do better. I'm so grateful for my grandpa's grandpa and my dad and uncles who have taken care of this land and being sustainable, environmentally friendly. And I want to do the same, because as you can see, my favorite part is teaching my son and daughter about it, and my niece and nephews, and with you, sharing what we do and how we produce an affordable, safe food supply for the world, so that we all can continue to eat and not have to worry about where our food comes from.
Well, Joel, thank you so much for what you do, growing all of that awesome food for us and working together with your family. And thanks for your time this morning. It was so fantastic to join you in the tractor, and it sounds like you need to go add some more seed. So we'll let you hop to that. So thanks again, Joel. Good luck in your planting, and we hope for an awesome harvest in the fall. Thank you, all of you. This is one of our largest groups ever for our virtual field trip. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for your awesome questions. Teachers, we will follow up with some links for some related lesson plans that you can show to your or use with your students. We also have our May field trip set. So Wednesday, May 26th, we are taking a virtual field trip to Brenny Farms, where they grow beef cattle. And that farm is located near Mazeppa, Minnesota. So we're going over to the southeastern part of the state. Also, our Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom program has a new program called Farm Camp. So if you like this virtual experience today, we'll hopefully have opportunities for more virtual and also in person, just one class with one farm, that experience to either tour the farm virtually or in person, as well as some accompanying activities and lessons that can be done in the classroom before and after. So we'll share information about that in a follow-up email. But you guys, we had such fun with you today. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, viewers. Have a fantastic Tuesday and a great spring and summer.